Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Denver, Colorado. And today I have my paper pumpkin alternatives for you for the month of July 2019. So let's just get started. Okay, our paper pumpkin for July this year is called On My Mind, and it coordinated with 3 different suites out of the catalog. That was just a little bit different. And let me get the paperwork out of here. My kit has been torn apart, and so there's nothing in there but the dregs left after I've done my work here. So this is the paper pumpkin, and it made this ship here. I think I can do that without any glare. And it had a ship and a ship's wheel, and it had pretty navy paper on the envelope. This one coordinates with the Sail Away suite in the catalog, in the main catalog. This one uses pretty peacock and coordinates with the woven threads suite. And this one has leaves and some green paper and striped envelopes here. And this one coordinates with the Verdant Garden suite out of the catalog. And as always, there is the full instructions on how to put the cards together on the inside, and your list. And the colors that coordinated with this are Balmy Blue, Mint Maccaron, Mossy Meadow, Night of Navy, Old Olive, Pear Pizzazz, Pretty Peacock, Sahara Sand, Seaside Spray, and Terracotta Tile. So lots and lots of colors to coordinate. So I have put together my alternatives, and I did 10 this time. Let me show you the little stamp set that comes. This is the stamp set. There's this pretty ornate medallion. There is this, I think that's called a conch shell. And the sentiments, this one in very pretty fonts this time, Hello Friend. And this one that says, You've Been on My Mind. I love this one. I can see using that a lot on some of my cards. Then I have a happy birthday here, and You're the Best here. A lovely little stamp set. And with this came some cutout leaves. This is one of the envelopes with this pretty blue paper. That's one of the envelopes with a Mint Maccaron stripe. And then this paper, which has the pretty peacock. And you know me, I immediately tore that apart and used it to make cards. So there is several card fronts. Most of mine have been torn apart. That was one. This was one that had this paper on one side and this paper on the other, and others that this one, which was in this pretty kind of craft color here, and it had these raised, like embossed dots on it, and the color is through and through on this one. Then there's that one, this one. There were cutouts for ship's wheels here with the circle dimensionals to pop those up. I've used all of mine. There are these berry sprigs in Mossy Meadow and some leaves here in Old Olive. And I used some of those. Then this was a piece for one of the card fronts. This was a ship. There was a circle and lots of tags and banners, gold rimmed ones, colored ones. Here's a blue tag. And then this was the Woven Threads card front layering piece. And again, more tags, some linen thread, and these embellishments that are in blues and kind of a very shiny, pretty peacock. There were some clouds, just all kinds of crazy things. And let me show you what I did with this set. The first thing I did is I made cards that mostly just used the material in the kit itself. And then I did a series of cards that used what it coordinated with in the catalog. So let's see. I'm going to show you the ship-oriented ones that I did. And I think that is all of those. And this one is done, except for the sequins, using the material that came in the kit. I used the card base here that had the bumpy embossed image on it. I used the inside of this blue envelope here to create my layering piece. I used it, this was a big circle, so I cut it in half and put it against one end. I used the ship's wheel and I cut it in half and put it down here. I raised my ship. I used the conch shell. Since my accent color was green, I did those in old olive and then fussy cut out the two shells so they could go on my card front. And then on the inside, I put a piece of white and then repeated the conch shells on the inside. So that is card number 1. This one, I used the coordinating paper to this come sail away. I used a little embellishment from the trinkets. What are they called? The sail away trinkets here. And I put that on there, but all of the rest of this, these two pieces of paper are from the coordinating papers, and then I used sequins from the everyday sequin, and then on the inside I used some more of that paper just to bring the outside to the inside. So that was those two. Then this one I used banners, and I used the inside of the envelope for my layering piece, and then I cut one very large banner out of the same paper, and then I used the paper with the ropes and made a second banner and added a few things. I left this one to be a note card, and I just put some of this rope paper on the inside. And that is card number 3. And like I said, I think I made 10. I went crazy with this kit. So this one then went over to the woven threads, and I think I just made a couple with the woven threads. But I used some of the coordinating paper, the inside of the envelope, and then out of this I cut the circle medallion. I used a 3/4 inch punch, a 1.5 inch punch, and a 1 3/4 inch punch, along with this punch here, whose name I'm not going to remember, but I'll make sure I put it down below. This was some of the terracotta tile paper, and I stamped "You're the Best" on this, and I thought this punch was very interesting in that it mimics the design in this woven threads paper here. And on the inside, since this card front, this is Sahara Sand, I put this on. That's another color that's in here. I took a piece of the envelope and cut one of those circles out of the designer series paper. So that is the one that I did using the coordinating items. This one I did using all the material only from the kit. And with the exception of a little sequin here. But I took some of the envelope paper here and some of the woven threads paper from here, and then I used this medallion and I stamped first and second generation on the back to make a little bit of a pattern, and stamped "You've Been on My Mind," used some of the linen thread here, and on the inside I used another piece of that envelope paper and a couple of medallions. And that is the one mostly from the kit, and this one is using the coordinating paper from the suite. Then this one is made almost exclusively from the kit. It's very simple. I took the inside of the envelope that had the Mint Maccaron. I took 2 tiny little strips from the inside of the envelope and used the pretty Peacock. And doesn't that coordinate well? I just decided, I kept trying to add more to it, and I kept taking it back off again, and finally I decided just leave it alone. So the only thing that I used that wasn't in the kit is I used a card base. So on all of these, if I used an outside card base, I used a Whisper White card base. And I put the strips of the envelope there, did "You're the Best," and used the pretty Peacock, which was the Stampin' Spot we got with this one. And here, and put the little sequins here. And on the inside, I put another piece of the Mint Maccaron and a little piece of that envelope there to create a very simple little card. This one was one that well, let's start with this one. This one I used stuff only from the kit. I used 2 of those laser cut leaves here, a few sequins, and then I took this piece of paper and I just cut it from this corner to this corner and pooched it out on one side. Now you could make it go the other way and have the sentiment on the top, but again, very simple. And I cut the back side of this card front here and made it this panel here. So this one, and I used one of the labels from the kit, so this one was made pretty much exclusively with the material from the kit itself. And then on the inside, I put a couple of those medallions in Mossy Meadow. So I did use some extra inks on some of them. And then, let's see, that's card number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I guess. This one was a little bit interesting in that I took one of these sheets and I cut it into 2" by 2" squares. I took the rest of the back of this card front here and made the backing 2 1/4 by 2 1/4, and then I used some of the coordinating paper from Verdant Garden and part of one of those big circles here. And then I took this leaf pattern here and I used my Mossy Meadow with a little bit of the crumb cake so that the leaves are kind of brown and green. And I used this as a stencil to come here and just sponge these leaves right down here on my card. There we go, just like that. And then I took one of the tags that was in the kit and stamped "You're the Best" on it here, and I used one of those berry sprigs and cut it so that I ended up with this little piece on either side. And so this one's very busy with pattern, but I liked it, and I used just plain rhinestones and a little bit of the Mossy Meadow twine that we have available. And on the inside, I used another piece of the circle and some of the paper to bring that outside to the inside. And so that is card number 8. This one, I used the background that they provided and took the other side of that and made my layering piece here. And then a piece of white, I used one of those long sprigs here and I just stamped my medallion 3 times down the side, put my hello friend here, a few rhinestones, and then on the inside of this card, I just put medallions down one side of the inside of the card. So that one is made almost exclusively except for the card base and this little piece of white with the material in the kit. Then the last card that I made was this one. And I took a strip of this paper here, and what I did was I cut it in half. So this was this whole card front here, and I cut this piece in half, so I had 2 pieces like this. And I set this up on my trimmer, and I'm going to show you exactly what I did. I set this up on my trimmer, and I put this corner into the cutting channel and this corner at the 1/2 inch mark, and I took that piece off, just a little sliver. Then I turned this around and I took that edge and put it straight against this and put this here, put this at the 1/2 inch, and cut the same angle off. So I ended up with this piece of paper here that has kind of an interesting angle to it. I put some Mossy Meadow twine here. I stamped my medallions on white cardstock, and then I backed them with more of the paper from this side of the card piece on the other side here. And then I'll bring this up so you can see. I took some of the Verdant Garden Lane Designer Series paper. So I took some of this paper here, and using my 3/4 inch punch, I cut out some of these little flowers in the paper and set that in the center, so that I used, because it had the Mossy Meadow flowers, then I stamped this medallion in Mossy Meadow and then backed it with the Mossy Meadow card front. And then my paper going sideways that has the Mossy Meadow front and my happy birthday. And on the inside, the 2 pieces that I cut off, I put one at the top, one at the bottom, and 3 more of these cute little flowers down here on the bottom of my card. So I tried very hard to give you projects that you could complete, mostly just using what was given to you in the kit. And I did that in several cases here where that was mostly the material I used, and in some cases only the material I used. And then I added small pieces from the coordinating kits so that I came up with my 10 cards. And that is my paper pumpkin alternatives for July. And I hope that you found some inspiration and some fun things to do with your kit. This next month for Paper Pumpkin is going to be a little bit different in that we are going to have our regular Paper Pumpkin, and as I understand it, it's going to be gift bags and embellishments. And then you can buy, separate from your Paper Pumpkin, for $10, a coordinating set of cards and envelopes. And $10 is the cost. It has a separate number, and I will list that below. It's going to be available on August 1st for purchase, and it is 24 cards and envelopes, note cards and envelopes, that have 12 of 2 different designs, 12 each of 2 different designs that coordinate with your Paper Pumpkin. So for those of us that like to make cards, that is a wonderful alternative. I plan to buy mine and then show you some cards from the kit just the way it comes, and then some cards using the note cards and envelopes that come. And so I'll be back with that video as soon as I get all of my material. And so thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator, and or you could join my team. Joining right now is a particularly good time. You purchase your starter kit for $99 and you get $155 worth of product plus a $10 coupon for next month. And this program runs through July and August. And your first quarter for your first minimum of $300 isn't until the end of the year. So a wonderful time to join. And my telephone number is always listed below the video, and I'd be thrilled to talk to you about whether or not something like that might work for you. So that's it for me. My prize draw for the month of July is one of the big bundles out of the catalog. And let's see, all it takes to be in my drawing is to put an order on my website, www.lbedinger.stampinup.net, and you can get to it from my blog, www.inkandingenuity.com. So I'll be back soon with more cards, more projects, and more tips. Bye.